It certainly is. Rangers Hurricanes coming up in round number 2. They get underway on Sunday for game 1 at the Garden. Regular season, these numbers couldn't be closer. The Rangers won 2 out of the 3 meetings in the regular season. But look at these numbers. The biggest differential, though, is the 5-on-5 goal differential. Look, the Rangers just +2 in those meetings, +25 for the Carolina Hurricanes. I know the storyline coming into these playoffs was the Rangers, look, really, really good on the power play. Maybe relied too much on that power play coming down the stretch. Weren't really tested 5-on-5 in that first-round sweep against Washington. How do you think that stacks up this round against Carolina?
That is the series to me, really in a nutshell. And you don't want to diminish a sweep. It's very hard to get that done in the playoffs. But to be fair, even the 5-game win for Carolina, both of those first-round matchups, the Rangers and the Hurricanes, were clearly and decisively better than the teams they were playing against. So, yes, it's great you got the sweep, but I don't think you can put too much like the Rangers are rolling or the Hurricanes are rolling.
We just didn't learn a lot.
They did what they had to do, but they weren't tested enough to find out anything. Yeah. I think this series is going to be an entirely different story. Both teams are very good, of course. But I think it is, can Carolina, when they're at their best, we know what it's like. Just wave after wave, pressure, lots of shots, lots of time in the offensive zone. The things that the Rangers didn't do well against at times in this season. As you can tell by their 5-on-5 goal differential. They were just sort of a mediocre 5-on-5 team, crushed on the power play, crushed on the penalty kill. Challenge is, Carolina also good in the power play, also good in the penalty kill. At some point in this series, I think the Rangers will have to be able to play with Carolina 5-on-5, and virtually no teams in the league can do that. I mean, they're one of the best 5-on-5 teams in the entire league. So, to me, that's the series, Paris, is like, how well the Rangers can counteract what Carolina does well at 5-on-5. If they can play that close to a standoff, then they have a great shot to win the series.
Especially with Shesterkin. You look at the Shesterkin, and it's a great goalie matchup. Don't get me wrong, Freddie Anderson's playing great as well. But, yeah, if you look at those two teams and you look at that 5-on-5 play, typically we're looking at the team that has who's got the better special teams, right? Because the 5-on-5 play is typically so even at this point in the series, or it's this point in the season right now. And, yeah, I am excited to see what the Rangers can do, what they're going to do 5-on-5 against these Carolina Hurricanes. I'm looking to see if Jake Guentzel becomes a bigger part of Carolina Hurricanes. You know, he kind of fairly quiet first round as the way he is. But right now, with those goaltenders, with the way they're playing, I got a funny feeling it's going to come down to those special teams, the one-goal games. It's going to be obviously very tough to score on those two goaltenders.
My concern, so I cheer for Freddie Anderson almost on a human level. He came back from the blood clots. He played incredible down the stretch. His numbers were outrageous after his return. And you love the 4-1 record and a 9-12 save percentage, whatever it was. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Wasn't great. Like, it wasn't good enough to beat the Rangers the way he played. Even though the team was pretty good in front of him and he had some great moments, he also had some stumbles and some bumbles and some pucks beating him from far out. And so he knows he will have to elevate his game to try to match Shesterkin or be something close to Shesterkin. Because you know what it's like when you walk into the playoffs and you're like, our goalie's better than theirs. Yeah. And you really believe it, and it's true. Yeah. You almost always win. Yeah. So Freddie Anderson has to negate that advantage that the Rangers have in net.
The amount of confidence you have. You nailed it, Johnny. When you're walking out and you're like, we got Shesterkin here right now. And I was looking at this playoff series. I had this matchup going on my bracket board, and I kept staring at it, and they're so evenly matched. And I know they're 5-on-5, and it just came down to the fact that the Rangers have Shesterkin and Carolina doesn't.
But if you're at Carolina, you look at the fact that maybe Shesterkin was human the first half of the season, right? He didn't really play like Igor Shesterkin that we've seen in the past. He turned it around the last quarter of the season and has gotten to that level, but you've seen flaws in the system at times.
I guess, but I am swayed by the history in the most recent 20 games in playoffs. I think he's on form, and Jonathan Quick allowed him to play himself into form.
Got him back.
I think Shesterkin will be excellent in this game. But one other aspect of this series that could be pivotal is what the roster looks. And you mentioned real quick to the upside, Jake Guentzel. Years past, Carolina, when they get into these tough matchups, they have had a hard time, despite controlling play and getting more shots and getting more chances, they're not getting more goals. And they went out and got the most proven veteran goal scorer available, a really elite-level playoff performer, Jake Guentzel, and added to their team for this exact series, for these exact moments. They're going to be tight games. They're going against great goaltenders. It's going to be tough defense to break down. And Guentzel, who in his career has done a really good job scoring in the playoffs, can he do what they brought him in to do? You mentioned it wasn't an explosive first-round series for him, but you look at his career numbers. I mean, more than a half a goal a game It's
What makes him
incredible.
so good in these scenarios, though? We know guys are good, but then come playoff time, everybody ratchets it up. What makes him so special this time of year?
His hockey IQ. He is such a smart hockey player. I don't think people realize how difficult it can be to step in as a young man and play against the best skater in the world, or best skater in the world at the time, Sidney Crosby. And he stepped in there just effortlessly. He thinks the game at such a high level, and obviously he's got the skill and he's got the finish. He thinks the game like a goal scorer. He creates so much time and space for himself, and in the same way, he makes it easier for his teammates. He finds his way around the ice, and the way he does, it's his hockey IQ all the way for me, and he's got the talent to back it up.
All right, so that's a guy in the lineup.
Right.
How about a guy that's not in the lineup, at least on the back end right now, and that's Brett Pesce. How does that impact this series, at least in the early going?
It does a lot. You see the second pair of defensemen, Shea and Tony DeAngelo, former Ranger, playing there. Now, Tony DeAngelo is good at what he does well, which is pass the puck, shoot the puck, look for offense. He is nowhere near what Brett Pesce is defensively. Fair enough. I mean, they're different kind of players. But Shea is the goal scorer, the guy who wants to jump up in the attack and create offense for that pair. Pesce is the guy who's the stabilizer, the guy who plays good defense, maybe a little more stout in front of his net, along the boards, getting pucks out, a little safer, more conservative. You put Shea, who is offensively inclined, with DeAngelo, who is completely offensively wired, and it's even with the strength of the system that Carolina plays, it's not nearly the same. And I think that will be... There's the pairing on the board. Rangers will circle it, and they'll say, we have to exploit when those guys are out there. Those are the guys that we got to take advantage of. Absolutely.
I couldn't agree more, especially with the depth that the Rangers have. They can continue to just get at that team. And with that deep pairing, when you play with two players that are so similar, that the way they are, they can be hesitant. And the last time you want to be hesitant is in the playoffs.
All right, what does your bracket look like? You have these two teams in round two, and if so, what does that look like?
Well, I have these two teams in round two, and again, I picked the Rangers because they have Shesterkin.
Okay.
When it comes down to it, I'm picking the goaltender.
You?
It's not chalk all the time. I got Carolina.
All right, here we go. I guess time will tell. Game
Who do you
one
have?
coming up.
Yeah.
I don't have to reveal my card.
Oh, wait a minute
Game one
here.
coming up.